You open Instagram. Someone from your high school just bought a house. Your college roommate got promoted. Again. And your cousin is posting photos from Bali. Third time this year. And in less than 30 seconds. You feel like a failure. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't lose anything. Your life didn't change. But somehow, you feel smaller. Less than. Behind. Here's what nobody tells you. That feeling isn't weakness. It's not insecurity. It's not you being too sensitive. It's your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. And that's the scary part. Because the same mental software that helped your ancestors survive is now quietly tearing your self-worth apart. Every single day. Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand something about your own mind that most people never figure out. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go back about 200,000 years. You're not scrolling Instagram. You're in a tribe of maybe 50 people. And your survival depends entirely on your position in that group. If you're too far at the bottom, you get less food, less protection, less access to a mate. You might not survive the winter. You might not pass on your genes. So your brain evolved a very specific system. Constantly scan the group. Where do I rank? Am I falling behind? Am I doing enough to stay in good standing? This is called social comparison theory. It was first described by psychologist Leon Festinger back in 1954. And his core idea was this: humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate themselves. But we don't do it in a vacuum. We do it by comparing ourselves to other people. Now here's where it gets interesting. Festinger identified two types of comparison. Upward comparison. When you look at someone who has more, does more, is more than you. This can motivate you, but it can also crush you. And downward comparison. When you look at someone worse off than you. This can make you feel better temporarily, but it can also trap you in complacency. Neither one is inherently bad. The problem is when this system runs on autopilot, without you even realizing it. And today, that autopilot is getting fed rocket fuel. Because here's what Festinger could never have predicted. Social media didn't just give us 50 people to compare ourselves to. It gave us 5 billion. Think about what you actually see when you open any social platform. You don't see the full picture of someone's life. You see the curated, filtered, perfectly timed highlight reel, the promotion announcement, not the 2 years of anxiety and self-doubt that came before it, the vacation photos, not the credit card debt, the "we're expecting" post, not the fertility struggles, the engagement, not the relationship that almost fell apart 6 months earlier. Your brain doesn't know this. Your brain sees a signal, and it responds. It registers. They have something I don't. I am behind. I am less. And this triggers what neuroscientists call a threat response. Your brain literally treats social comparison, especially upward comparison, like a physical threat. Cortisol spikes, your mood drops, and you start scanning for more evidence that confirms the narrative. I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough. Psychologists call this compare and despair. And it's one of the most well-documented drivers of anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem in modern life. A 2018 study from the University of Pennsylvania found that limiting social media use to just 30 minutes a day led to significant reductions in loneliness and depression. 30 minutes. That's it. But here's the twist most people miss. And this is the part that really matters. The problem isn't the comparison itself. It's the reference point you're using. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're making a fundamental logical error. You're taking your internal experience, with all its doubt, fear, mess, and uncertainty, and comparing it to someone else's external performance. You know every mistake you've made, every embarrassing moment, every time you almost gave up, every dark thought at 2 a.m., you know none of that about the person you're comparing yourself to. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel, and you will always lose that comparison. Always. There's a concept in psychology called the better than average effect. Most people believe they're above average in most things, which mathematically is impossible. But what's interesting is that this effect tends to collapse in people who struggle with anxiety and depression. They don't overestimate themselves. They actually see themselves more accurately, which sounds like a good thing. But when you pair accurate self-assessment with inflated assessments of everyone around you, the result is devastating. You see yourself clearly. You see others through a lens that only shows their best. It's like judging a race where you're the only one running on pavement and everyone else appears to be flying. And this brings us to something even deeper, something that most psychology videos don't talk about. Comparison isn't really about other people at all. Here's a reframe that might be uncomfortable. When you see someone else's success and feel that sting, that hollow, sinking feeling, what you're really feeling isn't jealousy of them. You're feeling grief for yourself. You're grieving the version of you that you thought you'd be by now. The goals you set that haven't happened yet, the expectations from yourself, from your family, from society, that feel unmet. The other person is just a mirror. They're not the source of the pain. The pain was already there. This is why comparison hits hardest with people who are close to us. Friends, siblings, people our age, people from the same background. Not with billionaires or celebrities. If Elon Musk buys another rocket, it doesn't sting. But if your college friend gets the job you wanted, that's a different feeling entirely. Because proximity creates possibility, and possibility creates expectation, and unmet expectation creates pain. Brené Brown talks about how comparison is one of the biggest killers of creativity and connection. Because when we're busy measuring ourselves against others, we disconnect from our own path, our own timeline, our own definition of what a good life looks like. We outsource our sense of worth to a leaderboard we didn't design and don't control. So what do you actually do with all of this? First, awareness. This sounds simple. It's not. The next time you feel that comparison sting, pause. Actually pause. And ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Is this about them, or is it about me? What is this telling me about what I want for my own life? Comparison, when you examine it consciously, often contains important information. It points toward your values, your desires, your unfinished business. Use it as data, not as a verdict. Second, change the reference point. Stop comparing yourself to other people altogether. Start comparing yourself to yesterday's version of you. Are you a slightly better communicator than last year? Have you learned something new? Have you handled something difficult that would have broken you before? This is called temporal self-comparison, and research shows it's far more effective for motivation and well-being than social comparison. Third, curate your inputs ruthlessly. If certain accounts, certain people, certain feeds consistently make you feel worse about yourself, that's not personal growth content. That's poison dressed up as inspiration. Unfollow it. Mute it. Archive it. Protect your attention like it's the most valuable resource you have. Because it is. Fourth, and this one's counterintuitive, get curious about the people you envy. Envy, real envy, points directly at what you want. If you feel a pang when someone publishes a book, maybe you want to write. If you feel it when someone travels freely, maybe freedom is something you've been suppressing. Envy is a compass disguised as a wound. Don't run from it. Read it. And finally, this is the one that takes the longest but matters the most. Build an internal scorecard. Most of us are living by external scorecards we never consciously chose. Social media, career milestones, relationship timelines, cultural expectations, parental expectations. None of these were designed with your specific life in mind. At some point, and this is genuinely hard work, you have to sit down and ask, what does a good life actually look like for me? Not for my parents, not for my followers, not for the version of me that exists in other people's expectations. For me. When you have a real answer to that question, not a performed answer, a real one, comparison starts to lose its grip. Because you're no longer running someone else's race, you're building your own track. Here's the truth. You will never fully stop comparing. That instinct is ancient. It's wired in. And pretending it doesn't exist is just another form of avoidance. But you can change your relationship to it. You can learn to notice the comparison, understand what it's really about, extract the useful information, and then let it go instead of letting it run you. That's not a perfect process. It's a practice. And like any practice, it gets easier with repetition. If this video made you think about your own patterns, share it with someone who needs it. Drop a comment below with the one comparison that's been weighing on you most. You might be surprised how many people are carrying the same thing. And if you want to go deeper on the psychology of self-worth and identity, the next video is right here. Take care of your mind. It's the only one you have.